Hello friends, Tom Downey here for NFL Daily on Chat Sports, presented by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Yesterday we took a look at the AFC playoff picture. Now let's look at the NFC playoff picture. A lot of teams actually eliminated this week in the NFL. Only a couple of teams still alive. Only 3 teams have secured a playoff spot. That leaves 3 spots currently open. The Saints and Rams and Bears are all in. They're just competing now for seeding spots. The Cowboys, Seahawks very close to it. Vikings, Eagles, Redskins, Panthers, technically for the Panthers, still fighting for that last spot. Maybe 2 if one of Seattle or the Cowboys collapse. But we'll start things off with the New Orleans Saints, your current #1 seed in the NFC. They can clinch a first-round bye by winning or by getting a Bears or a Rams loss. Just one of those 3 things will secure a bye for the Saints. But they want that #1 seed, and understandably so. They can get that with a win as well, or they can get a Rams loss and a Chicago Bears loss and tie. The game's coming up for the Saints versus the Steelers versus the Panthers. Not easy by any means, but I expect you'll see the Saints secure that #1 seed in the NFC. Now, the Rams, who have kind of struggled as of late, remain in good position to secure a first-round bye. They can get that either A, by winning and having the Bears lose, or, I love the tie scenarios, if they tie and the Chicago Bears also. They're scheduled the rest of the way. It's not difficult. At the Cardinals, but they're terrible. Versus the Niners, they're also terrible. 2 of the worst teams in the NFL the rest of the way for the Rams. Now, they remain in good shape there. They can also still find a way to get that #1 overall seed. It's going to be a little bit tricky, but they do have a path to secure that. We'll break that down. But remember here for the Rams, their last 5 games, they haven't been all that good. Now, a close win against the Seahawks and Chiefs, those are quality wins. Maybe not the best game that they had against the Detroit Lions, and then losses against the Bears and the Eagles. That Bears one could be a big problem for them if they lose another game, because the Bears would have that head-to-head tiebreaker. So after what you've seen for the past 2 weeks from the Rams, I'll ask you, are they overrated? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I still think they're a good football team, but Jared Goff's play the past month or so has been very poor. That is a key thing there to remember. So head back to that last Rams card here as well, because I do want to break down how they can get the #1 seed. The key is there, better record than the Saints, which is very simple. So they win out and the Saints lose out. They're going to lose the head-to-head tiebreakers there. So it's still technically alive, but I have a tough time seeing the Saints losing out the rest of the way. All right, the Chicago Bears now, they've clinched the NFC North. They can still lose the #4 seed. All they need, though, is a win to get that #3 seed, and that's going to be, I think, fairly easy for them with the Niners and Vikings coming up. But let's focus on the #2 seed instead. They just have to finish with the same record as the Rams. Thank you, head-to-head win. So they win out, and the Rams lose 1 game. Or, if the Bears win 1 and the Rams 2, but we'll go with the simpler scenario in that one. Now, they do have a path to the #1 seed as well. Maybe a little bit unlikely, but we'll break down that scenario as well. Step 1, win out, which that makes sense, right? #2, the Saints must lose out, and then the Rams also need to lose 1 game. I don't see the Saints losing out. I don't see the Rams dropping another game as well. But the schedule for the Bears at the Niners, that should a win there will secure the #3 seed at minimum. I think they'll get that. And maybe they have something left to play for against the Vikings, but a road game, the Bears might just elect to sit their starters, given the Rams should also secure a win over the 49ers that week. All right, again, folks, here's your current playoff picture. The Saints, the Rams, the Bears are your top 3 seeds. We'll break down some of those other teams that have not yet clinched but are fighting for a spot. But first, who's the team to beat in the NFC? It's funny, your top 2 seeds, the Saints and the Rams, were beaten by the 3 and 4 seed, the Bears and the Cowboys. So let me know in the comment section. I'm still going to lean more towards the New Orleans Saints. A not pretty win against the Panthers, but they remain a very good football team, and I trust Drew Brees quite a bit come postseason time. All right, to the #1 team that is not yet clinched, the Dallas Cowboys. It's a very simple scenario for them to get the NFC East locked up. They must win, or the Eagles lose and the Redskins lose. And there's also some ties, but it's a lot easier to do it this way. Home against the Bucs at the Giants. If the Cowboys can't win one of those 2 games, you probably don't even want them to get in the playoffs, because that means Jason Garrett has got to go. Now, they can still secure the #3 seed as well. To do that, They must win out against the Bucs, against the Giants, which is very plausible, but they also need the Bears to lose to San Francisco and to lose to Minnesota. You see the BetDSI odds right there. To win the NFC East, minus 3,333, i.e. to win $1, you got to bet $33.33. The Cowboys, they're basically assured of a playoff spot unless they have an epic collapse. Now, even if they lose out, they can still get in the wild card. We mentioned the scenario to win the NFC East if they just have the Eagles and Redskins lose a game, one of which will happen in Week 17. But for the wild card, they need the Panthers to lose to either the Falcons or the Saints, and Minnesota to lose to both the Lions and the Bears. So maybe not the most likely outcome, but even if the Cowboys lose out, it's probably around a 50% chance they still find a way into the playoffs this year. That's why those BetDSI odds are so high. Now here are your current NFC East standings. The Cowboys 8-6, the heavy betting favorite. The Eagles and Redskins still alive, plus 1,000, plus 2,500. We'll break down their playoff paths here in a little bit. The Giants, of course, well, they have already been eliminated from the playoff race. So which team will win the NFC East this year? Type C for the Cowboys, E for the Eagles, R for the Redskins. It's still kind of a no-brainer for me, and the betting odds back this up. The schedule's not very challenging. I think the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East this year, something I never would have said after that ugly loss on Monday Night Football to the Tennessee Titans. All right, folks, I am playing Santa Tom this holiday season, so if you want an NFL jersey, pay attention here so I can hook you up with one. Sign up and deposit with our partner, BetDSI. Head to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code LIVE120. It'll get you a 120% deposit bonus. So you put down $50, you're going to get $60 for free and an NFL jersey. Once you do that, DM us on Twitter @chatsports, and we'll get you guys hooked up. Now remember, we do have quite a bit of inventory, but they're going pretty fast, so you better get in on it soon. We don't really have all that much left. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code LIVE120, then DM us on Twitter @chatsports. All right, the Seattle Seahawks are up next. They cannot win the NFC West because, well, the Rams have been really good this year. And last week, they could have clinched a playoff berth with a win and some help. That's not the case this week, though, because they are playing an AFC team, so the tiebreakers aren't quite the same for Seattle. So for a playoff berth, they can win out or just beat the Cardinals in Week 17. That will help them out when it comes to the tiebreakers in terms of conference records and all that. Or they can win this week and get a Vikings or a Redskins loss. They really should have beat the 49ers. They would have been a playoff team already and had punched that in. Now, the game against the Chiefs matters, but it's the Cardinals one because it's an NFC match that's a little bit more important. Now, to secure the number 5 seed, beat Arizona and have the Vikings lose. That's all you have to do, which frankly is a somewhat plausible scenario this week, and you can also just win out. That's also a simple path there. So if the Seahawks do beat the Chiefs, they're at about 99%. There's a very slight scenario involving the Redskins and the Vikings winning out that actually Seattle doesn't find their way in. It's probably not going to happen. It would need a lot of extra help too, but it's not quite 100%, more in that 99% range. Now, Seattle can still lose out and find their way in. They need 3 of the following things to happen: a Redskins loss and an Eagles loss, and a Panthers loss, and 2 Vikings losses. If 3 of those things happen, Minnesota has the Seattle Seahawks have secured a playoff berth, which frankly isn't all that outlandish. Now, maybe you don't get the Vikings to lose 2 games, but the Eagles losing to the Texans and then beating the Redskins, well, that's certainly plausible, right? So I think Seattle, in reality, is going to get the number 5 seed. I will be moderately stunned if the Cowboys and Seahawks don't face off in the wild card round of the NFC. Again, here's how things stand. With Seattle and Dallas in really good shape right now, it's almost a 4-team race, and really almost a 3-team race for one spot, that last NFC wild card berth. So we'll start things off with Minnesota. If they win out, they are guaranteed a spot because having a tie means you don't really need the tiebreakers unless things get really screwy. Now, they can also get a playoff berth this week if they win, the Eagles lose, and the Redskins lose. That's really good shape there for Minnesota. They should beat the Lions, Things could get a little bit dicey, though, if they come up short against the Chicago Bears. Now, their BetDSI odds right now, pretty good. Minus 164 of those teams, not including Seattle, who don't even have BetDSI odds because that's how locked in BetDSI thinks they are. The Vikings have the best chance. They're your betting favorite right now to get that 6th seed in the NFC wildcard. All right, folks, I am playing Santa Tom this holiday season. I'm hooking you guys up with an NFL jersey. Here's how you can get one. Head over to chatsports.com. That'll take you right into BetDSI's site. Use promo code LIVE120 when you sign up and deposit. Then DM us on Twitter @chatsports. Got a big shipment of NFL jerseys that are going pretty quickly, by the way. So get in on the action now before the holidays end. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code LIVE120. Then DM us on Twitter @chatsports, and we'll get you guys hooked up. Your current first team out in the NFC are the Philadelphia Eagles. They can still win the NFC East if the Cowboys lose out and the Eagles win out. Games against the Texans and the Redskins, I'll be honest, I did not think Philly was going to beat the Rams. I bet on the Rams. I was very much wrong on that. Congratulations there, Philadelphia. A big win there. For the wild card, even if you win out, you still need a Vikings loss, which maybe that comes against the Bears, for example, but Philadelphia does not control their own destiny. Now, if they lose to the Texans, they can still get in the wild card. Don't lose to Washington because that's almost a de facto elimination game. If they beat the Redskins, after losing to the Houstons, of course, they then need the Panthers to lose one game and the Vikings to lose out. Maybe a bit of a stretch, but it is still plausible there for the Philadelphia Eagles. They'll bet their BetDSI odds right now plus 140, the second best team there in terms of the wild card teams right now. So we broke down the Vikings and the Eagles in that wild card hunt. The Washington Redskins remain in the hunt despite the massive injuries, despite having all kinds of quarterback problems because of those injuries. They are still in the hunt, and actually, maybe not the most outlandish scenario. They can win out and have the Cowboys lose out, which is going to be tough, but on the road against Tennessee is going to be a very tough game. Versus the Eagles, at the very least, it could be a spoiler-type game for the Redskins. Now, for the wild card, much like Philadelphia, they need to win out and have the Vikings lose a game. That's where things sit right now for the Redskins. Now, they can also find a way to, win out, have Seattle lose out. That also works out for them. That gets them in. If they beat Philadelphia and the Vikings and the Eagles both lose out, well then, regardless of what happens against the Titans, the Redskins would find their way in. That's a lot to ask. That's why their BetDSI odds are plus 525. I don't think they're going to do it. They did a good job beating the Jaguars. Cody Kessler's not a good quarterback. Jacksonville's a mess. The Titans fighting for their own playoff lives. The Eagles possibly doing the exact same thing. I have a tough time seeing the Redskins winning out and getting to 9-7. Even 8-8 seems like a bit of a stretch. All right, folks, if you want something to add to your holiday wish list, how about a Mizzen and Main shirt? Comfortable.af is the site, and that URL does check out. Comfortable.af. These shirts are comfortable as F. You're not going to find a better shirt, a better dress shirt, or any other shirt out there than a Mizzen and Main shirt. It is the best damn dress shirt out there. Go check them out, comfortable.af. Let's talk then about the Panthers, who are still technically alive, but only really technically. They have to win out, and they need a lot of help as well with a couple different scenarios. And it's not even team lose one game. You need specific teams to beat those teams. So first up in all of these, winning out and the Vikings losing out is a must. If the Redskins beat the Titans, then they need the Texans to beat the Eagles and the Eagles to beat the Redskins. That's scenario number one. I'll keep it rolling here with some more ones. If the Titans beat the Redskins, which I think is fairly likely, they need the Texans to beat the Eagles and then the Eagles to beat the Redskins. That would get the Panthers in, including a winning out and Minnesota losing out. And then your final one, again, Minnesota loses out, the Titans beat the Redskins, the Eagles beat the Texans, and then the Redskins beat the Eagles. Now, you actually don't want, if you're Carolina, you actually don't want both Philadelphia and Minnesota to lose this weekend, because there is a scenario there where if the Redskins beat the Eagles in that case, they still find their way in. So you don't want, as strange as it sounds, both the Eagles and the Redskins to lose in Week 16, which is crazy to think about. But Carolina needs a lot of help. They're not going to find their way in. So let me know in the comments section, folks, which team will get the number 6 seed in the NFC. I am going to lean more towards the Minnesota Vikings, but the Eagles have a real shot after that huge win over the Rams.